Okay, here's beach lesson number 2. Yesterday I told you that I was going to talk about how to create and generate the energy to wake up every day and work out like a wild lion. And I told you that story about how I hated statistics and programmed my brain to actually like statistics. So here's what I'm gonna talk about. In the performance enhancing model of fitness that was created by the National Academy of Sports Medicine. This is one of the certifying programs for people that have fitness certifications. In fact, every NBA team has a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified performance enhancement specialist as part of the training team. That's where my certification is from also, except I don't work with any NBA teams. I work with people like you. So, in that model, what we actually teach, one of the things we talk about is how the brain or nervous system and your muscles and your skeletal system all work together. And in the beginning of any training, one of the first things we work on developing is neuromuscular control. What that actually refers to is the connection between your nervous system and your body's muscular system. Now here's the point. This really gets awesome. I get excited easily about this type of stuff. There is a direct connection from your brain or your nervous system to literally everything that you do, but specifically speaking, on this topic, there is a direct connection between your nervous system and your muscles for movement. Well, what that is telling us is our brain plays a role in movement. So, if you're not waking up every day unconsciously excited about moving or exercising, that means you have not developed a neuromuscular connection between your nervous system and exercise. And then if we went even farther, you haven't developed the cognitive, meaning the thinking portion, between exercise and your brain. So if you want to get to the point where you wake up every day and you don't think about exercising, you just get up and you go, I'm going to tell you how to do that. In a second here. But I got to tell you another story. You're going to meet this lady later. Her name is Dorothy. I just met her before I cut this video. She told me that she would love to make a video with me. She's disabled, walks with 2 ski things, the ski poles that you use, and she wears 2 knee braces. And I engaged her in a conversation right before I started this, and she told me, because I asked her, I said, "You're out here almost every time I come out here." And she says, "I know I have to get up every day and go work out, and it doesn't matter," and she said this, "and it doesn't matter that I'm disabled and I can barely walk. I want to get out and I want to do something. And if that something is walking with these ski rods, that's what I'm going to do." And then she said this. She said, that allows her to get up and not feel guilty about not doing something. So we're gonna talk more about the guilty thing later, but to finish up this here, how do you create the unconscious habit and motivation and energy to wake up every day and go exercise. Got to create the neuromuscular connection first. How do you do that? Yesterday I told you, the first step of initiating a neural circuit, meaning your brain is beginning to wire up, which is what the topic was. How do you wire up yourself so that you become the kind of person that likes to exercise? How do you wire yourself up to do that? Step number one, it begins with simply writing down a goal. And I'm going to tell you specifically how to write that. Sit down. You have to decide though, but if you decide, you're going to sit down, think about it, and you're going to write the goal. I wake up every day exercising. You want to put it in the positive. I wake up every day exercising. That's step number one. What that first step is going to do is initiate a neural circuit that represents you waking up every day and exercising. Now, get this. I don't want you to go out and try to exercise. If you don't exercise right now, don't go out and try to exercise, because that's going to create a problem. Two problems: cognitive dissonance and homeostasis is going to be interfered with. Cognitive dissonance is a disagreement between two cognitive processes. The first one in your case is, if you do not exercise every day, is that consciously you don't exercise every day. And then you're going to try to go out and exercise. Cognitive dissonance is going to kick in, and it's going to make all kind of excuses for you to stop exercising. So rather than running out and try to exercise, don't do that. What we're going to do is wire up your circuits first. Wire up the circuits that represent you as a person that exercises. And then once the circuits are wired up, you are naturally going to be inclined to want to exercise. And that begins with number one, set the goal. Write the goal down. I wake up every day and I exercise. Framed in the positive. Once you've done that, the next step is you're going to create a affirmation that strengthens that initial neuronal circuit. And the affirmation is, I love to exercise. I wake up every day and love getting up to go do something. And you're going to write that 100 times. All that's going to do is strengthen that initial circuit again. And then what you're going to do, here's number three. Number three, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to start visualizing yourself waking up. No, you're going to visualize yourself waking up, getting out of the bed, putting on your exercise gear, and going outside to walk around, or better than that, to walk around your living environment. If you live in a house, apartment, wherever you live, if you can actually go out and walk, visualize that. Creating that visualization strengthens the neuronal circuits further. And I'm going to tell you why I'm looking like I'm stumbling here in a moment. So, you're going to go out and you're going to strengthen that initial message that you love to exercise by forming it in your mind. Quick little note. Years ago, we can't go there because I can't remember the story. It was a story about how one of the countries in the Olympics used visualization to train their athletes in skiing. So this goes back to the 60s. This was a country that had never won anything, but they applied visualization to their training, and they came out and won almost all the skiing events, downhill slalom, those type of events, and they attributed it all to learning how to create the circuit in their brain of what they wanted to happen through visualization. So that's the third one. Write that down. Write down the goal. Write down the affirmation. Close your eyes and start visualizing yourself getting up and going out to exercise. Now get this. Still do not go out and exercise. If you don't yet, you don't need to. It's going to take you anywhere from 7 to 10 days, 7 to 30 days, depending on how intense your visualization is. And I'm going to tell you how to make it even more intense. Depending on how intense it is, it's going to take from 7 to 30 days for you to create a solid set of circuits in your brain that override the circuits that you currently have, which says, I don't exercise every day. So once the new circuit overrides the old circuit, what is going to happen is cognitive dissonance and homeostasis is going to naturally kick in, and you are going to be the type of person that just wakes up and you feel like exercising. I'm trying to figure out how to do this to head back. Okay, here we go. You are going to naturally then become, in other words, you're going to create the circuit. You are then going to be wired up cognitively in your brain and well, not in your body yet, but in your brain. You're going to be wired up to be the type of person that wants to exercise. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to wake up and you're going to start feeling like you want to exercise. Now, here's a little trick to help you get to that even faster. By the time you reach your 3rd to 4th day of just programming this in your mind, then take and do it immediately. Take and put your exercise stuff out. Just put it out. Don't go try to exercise. Just put your exercise gear out somewhere that you can see it when you wake up and get out of the bed. Just put your shoes in front of your bathroom so you can walk past them, but I don't want you to exercise yet because you're not ready. I keep harping on this because cognitively you are not. And I'm referring to the person that doesn't wake up every day and feel like they want to exercise. That person. Not you guys that already exercise on a regular basis. You don't need to do this unless you're trying to. You can use this model to extend what you currently do, but you don't need to do it to learn how to exercise because you already exercise. So this is going to every one of you that are listening to this that don't exercise. We're going to wire up your circuits first. And then by the 2nd or 3rd day, just put your exercise gear out. And even if you don't do that, it really doesn't matter. But putting your exercise gear, your shoes and your clothes, by just putting them out so that your brain sees it, you start sending a visual signal to your brain also that you exercise. And over a period of time, the circuit that represents that affirmation that you've been citing, and you do what, other than writing it down the 100 times when you first start, the visualization and the affirmation, you want to do it for about 60 to 90 seconds every morning, afternoon, and evening. And like I mentioned, over a period of 7 to 30 days, you will then create the circuits that represent a person that exercises. And then because you're not, cognitive dissonance is going to be reversed. It's going to cause you to feel uncomfortable because you don't exercise. And this is what Dorothy, did she say her name was Dorothy? Yeah, Dorothy told me. She had come out with her cane to walk so much that when she doesn't come out to walk, she feels uncomfortable. That means she's created the habit of walking. And you can do the exact same thing. So, in closing, if you want to become the person that wakes up every day and exercise because you've learned how important exercise is, but it's difficult, this is the catch, but exercising seems to be hard for you. You make up excuses. Any kind of excuse will work when you don't have the circuit that represents you're a person that exercises. If that's you and you want to change that, change your wiring first. Change the way your brain is wired up before you try to go out and exercise. And then you will have your brain working on your side. Now, why am I walking all like I'm stumbling and everything? Well, many of you know I run track for the USA, or in the USA Masters track and field circuit. And my last meet, which was the San Diego Senior Olympics, I pulled a hamstring really, really bad. And I'm recovering now. Now get this. The recovery process means or requires me to wire up the neuromuscular circuits that are involved in running, and especially with my hamstring. So there's a progressive stage that I had to go through, but one of the stages was to walk on unbalanced platforms, or unbalanced and unstable platform. So I am walking in the sand right now, and I gotta say, man, it is cold out here in California, which is strange because there is nobody out here on the beach today. Well, maybe because it's still pretty early in the morning. Anyway, so I say that just to say this. That's all about creating the neuromuscular circuit so that what you're trying to do becomes directly associated with what's going on in your brain. So with that said, go out and have a fantastic rest of your Thursday, and go exercise.